Bam! What is up, squad? It's your favorite Auntie with Uncle Tendencies, and I am talking WNBA expansion madness, Eastern Conference edition. Listen, we've been talking about it on the show back and forth, what the draft will look like, different teams tanking for Paige, tanking for who we think will be the number one. So I thought it would be fun to just kind of start a hypothetical conversation around, what that expansion draft will look like, how it'll affect some of the teams, and we're gonna start in the Eastern Conference and just kind of who they protect, who I would protect if I was them, and get your feedback. So it should be fun. Let's kick this thing off. So we got the WNBA expansion coming in 2025 into the Bay Area. That's going to be a significant development for the league as far as I'm concerned. Got the new team coming in, the Golden State Warriors, owned by the Golden State Warriors organization. So that's Jacob and Latham and those guys. Jacob Latham and those guys. Team is named the Golden State Valkyries. I'm not clear. I call them the Valks. Golden State Valks. And they're going to play their home games at Chase Center, which is interesting because that's going to be a big venue for them to sell out. But we'll see how that goes. That's not what this is about right now. The team's branding is inspired by, I believe it's Norse mythology, with the Valkyries being female figures who guided fallen warriors to Valhalla. A little bit of the backstory behind the name. The expansion is kind of coinciding with this crucial period, this what I'm calling like this lightning in the bottle period for the league. Got the collective bargaining agreement, the media rights deal with ESPN. Everything's expiring in 2025. We know the media rights deal, the TV deal has been negotiated already. That's 11 years, be $200 million a year over 11 years, like 3 times what they're doing right now. So that'll be fun. I don't know if I like it at 11 years, but that's not what this video is about anyway. But we will talk about that at some point. A successful expansion right now can really boost the league's value. It can boost the influence on future negotiations, how things shape up for the league as it tries to build towards sustainable success, getting into the Black and being able to sustain that without necessarily having to have the NBA as a crutch. So some of the moves that they're making now are going to shape up how that goes. But the roster for the Golden State Valkyries is going to likely be built through the expansion draft, right? Similar to past expansions where the exact rules, they're not yet determined. So I'm just going to make up some rules that we're going to go by. Keep in mind, hypothetical, made up rules. Stick to the rules that I lay out, and we should all be kind of comparing apples and oranges, right? So historical precedent suggested that, teams will have opportunity to protect a certain number of players. So we know the Warriors organization and ownership has a strong track record for success in the NBA. They're committed to investing in this WNBA team. They're committed to success. I think the team is going to benefit from the WNBA's, the Warriors' expertise, resources, and state-of-the-art facilities, right? They already have these things already kind of lined up. It's already going to be a destination spot for players, I believe. The ownership group led by Joe Lacob has boldly stated that their ambition is to win a championship within the first 5 years of the team's existence. So they're going to have to start with a very solid foundation of building the team. So I think the Bay Area is considered an ideal market for WNBA expansion. A strong basketball culture, large population, thriving tech industry. Also has a pretty good tourist industry. So history of supporting women's basketball, successful college programs like Stanford and Cal, of course. Passionate fan base and like San Jose Lasers that was at the ABL. So for those of us who remember the ABL, expansion teams, though, we know face challenges, especially in the early years. I think the Golden State Valks have a potential to be competitive very quickly, thanks to their resources, the expertise that they have from the Warriors organization. The team's success is also going to depend on its ability to attract top talent, build a strong coaching staff, and engage with the community. All things that I think they'll have a great success at. The addition to the Valks is expected to generate excitement and enthusiasm for women's basketball in the Bay Area and, of course, beyond. So let's talk about what having the Valks come to the league will mean outside of the things that we just talked about. It's going to expand the available spots from 144 to 156. So this is 12 more spots, one more team. It's going to be, I think it's going to be highly competitive to fill these spots. while I think most of these spots are going to be filled by players that are coming into the league from the draft or currently in the league, I think it'll be a great opportunity for some players that haven't been in the league recently to find their way back to the league if they're able to show some good play and consistent play overseas or even in athletes unlimited opportunities that are available on other platforms for them. So be on the lookout for the Falcons to be really creative in how they build out their roster. But let's kind of talk about what the CBA says about the expansion draft and how it has to work as we kind of try to shape the rules of how we're going to look at what 6 we save on each team, or how I came to the conclusion of 6 that we'll try to save. So pages 210 and 211 of the WNBA CBA, there's a section on how an expansion draft happens. WNBA may decide to make current teams decide which players to make available for the expansion draft. There's no set limit. This is assuming that teams are allowed to make players available. If the expansion team selects a player from another team, that player's salary and negotiating rights transfer over. The expansion team can generally pick just one unrestricted free agent. They can select other players regardless of contract status, which is interesting. I thought that they had to be under contract. So the expansion team could core a player that they select if that player is moving into unrestricted free agency. So there's no language about where the expansion team would draft in its first year of operation. So that could vary. And let's look at what happened in the last time the WNBA had an expansion draft. There's been several drafts, okay, y'all. So in the last 16 years, 2 teams, the Houston Comets and Sacramento Monarchs folded, but the last expansion team was the Atlanta Dream 2008. So the expansion draft took place in February before free agency and trades could start. The other 13 teams at the time were allowed to protect 6 players from being picked. Atlanta picked their players, including unrestricted free agent Betty Lennox, who played for the Seattle Storm before coming there. Lennox was also cored. Atlanta was given the 4th overall pick in the 2008 WNBA draft and were not part of the lottery that year. Okay. So how good did the Dream end up being? They were 4-30. Worst team in the WNBA. The following year, they got the number 1 overall pick. They got Angel McCoughtry, and they quickly improved 18-16 and made the finals for the first time in 2010. So they were in the finals within 2 years. So, when the Valks are saying that they think, they won a championship in the first 5 years, it definitely could be done. Shout out SB Nation Bullets Forever for those detailed breakdowns of kind of what the history of what's happened in the draft, and most recently what happened with the expansion draft with the Atlanta Dream in 2008. So based on that, the potential WNBA expansion draft process for the Golden State Warriors could be late 2024, after the 2025 WNBA draft lottery, as I mentioned. Existing teams, I'm going to say they're going to be allowed to protect a certain number of players. We don't know how many. The precedent in 2008, most recent, was 6 players. However, in 2000, teams could protect up to 8 players. Golden State team will select players from a pool of unprotected players from other WNBA teams. The precedent in 2008, the expansion team could select only 1 player from each team. So it wasn't like you could just go and pick up, 3 or 4 players from one location. You had to pick 1 team from every player. Golden State team may have the option to designate 1 unrestricted free agent as a core player, making them ineligible for offers from other teams. Be interesting how they use that, especially with players going into 1-year deals. Additional roster building, the Golden State team will be allowed to build its roster through the WNBA draft, potential trades. The expansion team was assigned the 4th overall pick in the draft, like I mentioned. So keep in mind the exact rules and procedures for expansion draft are yet to be finalized. The number of players each team can protect, total number of players the Golden State team can select, and other details, they may vary from the expansion draft. So there's nothing set in stone. But the goal of the expansion draft is to create a competitive roster for the new team while maximizing the distribution, while minimizing, the disruption to existing teams. So I think that the expansion draft is going to be a crucial step in building a new WNBA team. Golden State team will have an opportunity to select talented players from other teams. So they have to be very strategic with their selections. And the team will also utilize draft and trades to fill out this roster. An expansion draft process will likely be finalized just after the 2024 WNBA finals. So in this little, I guess I'm not going to say game, in this little assessment that we're going to try on the channel here, We're not going to be considering if they're a free agent, restricted or unrestricted, none of that. We're going to basically go with the rules from 2008. So each team can protect 6 players, and we're going to say that the Valks will receive the 4th pick. So current players that are kind of floating around in that that 4th spot in the mock drafts right now are Sonia Citron, Olivia Miles, and Dominique Malonga out of France. Most drafts have them coming in after Kiki Page and Anissa in some type of order. But Sonia, Olivia, and Dominique are probably for the mock drafts that I was able to see the players that I see are being picked for in most overall mock drafts. So with that said, let's jump into the Eastern Conference, and I'm gonna say who I would save or protect, I should say, from each team. And then I want y'all to let me know. Get back in it. We'll talk about it. Get in the comments. Y'all let me know who your 6 would be from each team. So starting with the Atlanta Dream, y'all. Atlanta Dream. So I'm protecting Ryan Howard. I'm protecting Alicia Gray, Destiny Henderson, Haley Jones, Cheyenne Parker Tyus, and now Tina Charles. I'm gonna save Tina Charles. If she still wants to go, right? And I'm gonna save Letitia Amir. If Tina Charles wants to leave. Now, when I first started doing my research, Destiny Henderson was still a part of the Atlanta Dream. I believe that 7-day contract is up as I'm doing the recording. So I believe Jordan Canada is coming back. So I would save Jordan there. So those would be the 6 that I would save. So Ryan Howard, Alicia Gray, Jordan Canada, if they're back. If not, if Destiny finds her way back onto the squad, it will be Destiny. I want to be clear about that. So let me start over. So I got Ryan Howard, I got Alicia Gray, Jordan Canada. If Jordan is there, if Destiny Henderson makes their way back to the roster, it will be Destiny Henderson for me. Haley Jones, Cheyenne Parker Tyus, Tina Charles. If Tina Charles plans on continuing to play, it will be Tina Charles hands down. And then if Tina Charles is going to decide to move on, then it would be Letitia Mihir for me. And I know I'm taking a risk with Letitia, but I also think if Tina Charles decides to come back, I don't know that there's a big risk that a team would pick up Letitia, but they could, depending on how they go and perform in the Olympics. Because my mind is blown for, number one, how well they played as a Gamecock, but they're able to play for their nation, but they're not good enough to get minutes in the WNBA. It doesn't make sense to me, but I don't know. I digress. Next up, Chicago Sky. The Chicago Sky. You know how I feel about the Sky. So, Chicago Sky. The 6 I'm saving: Kennedy Carter, Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, Michaela Onyewer. I don't think I'm saying that right. Rachel Banham and Isabel Harrison. Those would be the 6 that I would save. E. Williams is coming off injury, so I'm not sure there. Mariah Jefferson is coming off injury, and I haven't seen Mariah play this season, so I'm not sure there. And then Lindsay Allen, I'll be honest, I'm betting that Lindsay Allen wouldn't be the pickup. So I'm betting that Lindsay will still be available to come back to Chicago. Next up, Connecticut, y'all. Connecticut. Now, Connecticut is interesting because most of these players are unrestricted free agents, restricted free agents on their way out. This is a team that probably is going to look very different anyway, but for the sake of the discussion, the 6 that I would keep: Dejanay Carrington off rip, Ty Harris, Tawana Bonner, Tiffany Mitchell, Alyssa Thomas, Brianna Jones. Those would be the 6 I would keep. I think they just make the most sense. I think they play well together. I don't know how likely it is that they're all back together in Connecticut next season just because of the salary cap, but I think they play well together. But I think this is kind of like a championship or bust kind of team, kind of year for them. So not expecting to see all 6 of them back next season, but would definitely be planning to build around trying to keep Dejanay Carrington and Ty Harris and Tawana Bonner and Alyssa Thomas. Like, I would try to keep them all. I just don't know if it's possible. Up next, Indiana Fever. Oh, Indiana. Now y'all know how I feel about Indiana. I don't necessarily want a franchise in Indiana, but since it's there, let's talk about the 6 that we would keep to keep this franchise going. So Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, Timi Fagbinley, and Alyssa Smith, and Victoria Saxton. And I know people probably be like, "Says Victoria Saxton?" Yes, Victoria Saxton, because I just feel like Victoria Saxton can play in this league, and I think that they just have not had an opportunity to be able to show that. And when I'm looking at Indiana, I think I've kept the core, and so I would still give Victoria the opportunity to grow into being able to contribute on that team. And I just believe in saving my Gamecocks anyway. Like, I'll be honest. Some of the picks were just about, like, if it's about giving somebody an opportunity on the team to grow into a WNBA player, and it was a Gamecock on the roster, more than likely I picked the Gamecock. It's going to be honest. Now, this one was a little difficult. New York Liberty was a little difficult. But definitely keep Stewie. But definitely keep Sabrina. You got to keep Jonquel. That's the core. Benaya, Laney Hamilton, got to keep her. I think you got to keep Niara Sabali. But for the 6th spot, I haven't seen enough of Jalen Sherrod or Marquisha Davis to decide which one of those I would keep. So I'm gonna leave it up to the fam. Like, we could flip a coin. For some reason, I think that Jalen may have a little bit more defense. So I was leaning towards Jalen, but I'm gonna listen to the fam on that one. Y'all let me know. And last but certainly not least, listen, y'all, not a bad team. Just a bad break this year. The Washington Mystics. So this one was another difficult one for me. So Ariel Atkins, Aaliyah Edwards, Julie Van Loo, Shatori Walker, Kimbrough, Maisha Hines Allen, Stephanie Dolson were the 6 that I said I would pick. Shakira Austin and Brittany Sykes, I think, I don't know. I wanted to keep them. They just hadn't played enough games for me this year for the Mystics. And I think that's all just injury. So I'm going to take a risk that nobody would pick them up because maybe they would look at them as maybe injury prone or be concerned about them having the injuries this season. So I'm going to take a risk and hope that they are actually still available at the end of this thing. So, listen, if it's a situation where they can pick one player from every team, I think some of the things that they may want to do is pick up some players that, maybe are similar, with the hopes that they can create some trades with other teams that may be interested in the players that they pick up. I hope that they're really strategic. I mean, I'm excited about being able to watch this process build out from the ground up. I don't know that I paid attention to the dream as they came along from the ground up. So interested in seeing how the Valks grow up. And how what the strategy is as they try to build a championship team in 5 years, especially in the league that is showing such parity and such growth in just the level of talent. So excited to see the league growing, excited to see teams being added, excited to see jobs being created. Very interested to see how the negotiation of the new collective bargaining agreement affects the pay to these athletes. Also looking to see how this great new TV deal affects the pay to these athletes out. I'm looking, like I said, for the average salary to triple, to somewhere around $225,000 at least for these young players coming out of college and starting their WNBA careers. And I expect that the WNBA is gonna have to come up with some more incentives and some more ways to attract and retain top talent with other higher paying opportunities and platforms starting to pop up, like the Unrivaled. You got your Athletes Unlimited. Athletes Unlimited is probably not paying like the WNBA, but Unrivaled is coming in and saying, hey, we're going to be paying the highest average salary to a female athlete in sports history here in the nation. So that's what these things I have to be able to think about, to be able to get this talent in here and keep it. And I'm excited to see what they do. But listen, y'all, jump in the chat, jump in these comments. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know who y'all would keep. Let me know what y'all think about who I'm keeping, who I would keep. Definitely gonna be working on the Western Conference edition coming up here soon in the next couple of days. But just thought we would start this conversation as we start to go into the break. And with that, y'all, it's your favorite Auntie with Uncle Tendencies. Until next time, stay tuned. Talk soon, y'all. I'm out.